Mark, do you want to start on your own? Sure. I'm sorry, everyone. For some reason, PowerPoints have proven to be insurmountable. Once again, my name is Steve Smith. I'm the programmer for the display track today. Today we have 4 sessions ahead of us, and we're going to start with an overview of the display market, coming at it from several different perspectives. And then we're going to look after this at the very hot topic of native ad formats and whether they are both effective and also can work at scale. Then this afternoon we're going to be talking about how you map. We're going to be talking about data coming both in and out. How you map data against campaign goals and brand goals. And then also, of course, we're going to end where a lot of campaigns do end, trying to figure out the thorny question of attribution. But today we want to start today, if we can, with several perspectives on display and where we are in the market and where the trajectory of the market is. We're going to start first with some research from Jaffray and Zgutowicz, who is the VP and Senior Research Analyst of Activity Research at Jaffray. He covers marketing and tech space and brings a long experience on the buy side. He worked at equity growth teams at American Express and U.S. Bancorp. And then afterwards, we're going to have a general discussion with Mark as well as Kristine Welker, the Chief Revenue Officer at Hearst Magazine's Digital Media, and Skip Brand, CEO of Martini Media. But we're going to start with Mark.
Great. Thanks, Steve. Pleasure to be here, and apologies for the technical difficulties. As Steve mentioned, Mark Zgutowicz, I'm a research analyst with Jaffray. We have about 35 to 40 analysts that cover all sectors, across all sectors. My responsibility is technology and marketing services. In a minute here, I'll just give you a brief look at sort of the stocks that I follow. But I think what's unique about Piper in terms of how we look at media, we have media analysts, we have myself, marketing services analysts, we have internet, we have software. All those core components obviously are all interchanged in the digital world today. So I think we have a unique perspective in terms of what we bring to this marketplace. And for those of you who are not too familiar with the sort of investment banking side of the marketplace, our clients are typically institutional investors, Fidelity, Genesis of the world. We're recommending investment in all these areas. So that's just a quick look at sort of a
Mark, what role is that?
That is, I changed it recently. That's somewhere in Ireland. But I'll just continue here. So what Steve asked me to do is sort of talk about what sort of how we see RTV and its effects on premium in the marketplace. And it's interesting because, as some of you or all of you may know, I mean, RTV was nothing a couple years ago, and it's in a very rapid period of time. It's moved from essentially nothing to $2 billion in revenues. We estimate, similar to the industry, that it's representing about 30% of total impression buys in the marketplace today. We expect that will get to 50% in a couple years. I think some estimates are that it'll be 50% 4 years from now. With the combination of mobile and video into the RTV markets, and also we expect to see more branding dollars start to move into the RTV space in a rather short order. We think that sort of $5 billion number certainly could be hit in 2 years, and we even see a greater number of impressions than 50% that we're talking about. I think that the one area area that we are certainly, I think, differentiated in our viewpoints is I listened to a lot of RTV presentations yesterday, and it was some great presentations, and I think what we're going to attempt to do here today is kind of talk about more the tangible side. And when we talk to our investors, portfolio managers, et cetera, they need to get to sort of the bottom line, the nitty-gritty, and so we've kind of looked at sort of an aggregate of pricing in both our RTV and premium rates in general. So I think where we're differentiated or controversial, I think we are seeing more of a rapid decline of premium rates, and we all have different definitions of premium, but we've seen a pretty rapid decline of premium rates from call it the $7 to $8 level roughly a year ago to contracting today to roughly a $4 to $5 level. So almost a 40% contraction in premium rates given the moves to RTV. And I think there's a couple reasons behind that. One is you obviously have volume economics that are playing in the favor of many direct marketers in RTV. So you can make the economics work on a sort of a small scale. You can make the economics work in RTV to avoid sort of paying the prices at the $7 to $8. So we've seen sort of a contraction of that $7 to $8 and $4 to $5 just given mostly direct response sort of volume economics. I think where that potentially changes is when we start to get branders or branding dollars into the marketplace. I think you're going to start to see branders sort of look at RTV differently. On the direct response side, it's really all about volumes. It's about high engagement. On the branding side, it's not typically the case. It's more sort of lower engagement, maybe a smaller sample size or a smaller target that I'm willing to pay exponentially more for. So while we've seen a 40% contraction just over the last year, we expect that decline to continue to sort of follow suit, but when the branding dollars start to come in, I think we're going to start to see some more support for that. So maybe instead of a 40% decline, next year we're expecting that to be somewhere in the, maybe the 10 to 15% type category. But we still think there's a contraction as there's more efficiencies and intelligence, obviously, on the exchanges that are drawing dollars there. The one area that I would point out, though, because I think premium is always sort of a touchy topic, is we kind of bucket premium in a couple different buckets. We look at that $7 to $8 sort of premium that is susceptible to moving to RTV, and then there's scarce premium, or we call it scarce premium, which is the roadblocks or taking up a full page of advertising. That's more scarce. That we actually hear in the marketplace is we're seeing premium price increases continue because it's obviously scarce volume. So I just want to be clear on that point because I think there's a lot of sort of debate as to what is truly premium and what is the effect of RTV on premium rates. Well, what we've seen is just in terms of just this past the last 3 quarters this year, and this data was compiled by a company called Recorded Media, ESP, who's done, I think, a lot of really interesting work in terms of getting to sort of the nitty-gritty of what's going on in the RTV space. And what we've seen is, and if we did this up, I can show you sort of the trend line. We've seen sort of supply growth of, rapid supply growth over the last 3 quarters of roughly, over 100%. We've seen that moderate to some extent in Q3. Now, on the pricing side, we've seen CPMs and RTV sort of contract in step with that supply. CPMs have contracted roughly, call it 8 to 14% in Q1 and Q2. That's CPMs in RTV, on average. But for the first time in Q3, we've actually seen a year-over-year increase. So that to us, while it could be a head fake in terms of price, sort of price instability in the RTV market, I think it's important to see sort of that sort of trend line take place. So I think that the inferences that we're brought down premium pricing, but we are starting to see sort of a moderation, moderation of that decline in RTB, which we think will certainly, I think, support some of that sort of branding and premium support there. One other thing I would just mention that I think is important in terms of sort of supporting premium pricing is the fact that today, if you're out there buying RTB impressions, roughly almost 70 to 80% are not indicated as being viewable, so they're not indicated above or below the fold. I think that's certainly a challenge for premium rates in itself, and I think that's more of a publisher problem. Our data suggests that there's a lot of publishers out there today, both at the top end and low end, that still don't have very good inventory management of their sites, and they actually don't know what they're selling oftentimes. So I think just better inventory management can bring that sort of 70 to 80% number down to a better viewable number, which today I think the stat is roughly 20% of impressions that you're buying on an exchange you can actually are indicated that are above the fold. And I think if we can get that number to expand to some extent, I think that also offers some premium support in the marketplace. So we'll leave it at that. That was the footnotes of my presentation. So
beautiful.
By the way, if anybody wants to see the slide, we can certainly send them to you. I think a lot of good sort of quantitative data. So please stop by and let me know.
Joining me is Kristine Welker, who is the Chief Revenue Officer of Hearst Magazine's digital media. She's been building a diversified portfolio of marketing products across the Hearst digital line. Started it. And since has been really expanding the Hearst digital line into quite a large network that includes the 24 magazine sites. Now, what are the 9 mobile sites now? 9 mobile sites? All of the properties have mobile sites, yeah. And also Skip Brand, who's CEO of Martini Media. Skip will tell you more about the network of sites and inventory he represents, but I think the brand name itself is a bit of a tip-off. It's not about whiskey. But Skip has launched, in the past, Skip has launched one of the first broadband networks at Cox back in the day. Helped build a name that those of you who are real veterans may remember, Excite at Home. I remember Excite at Home. I want to start by asking the premium question. Since premium is one of the terms that Mark used a lot, if we could talk about how you guys are defining premium, then I want to get back to Mark and maybe talk about some of this linkage between RTB and premium. Go ahead.
Well, I'll talk about premium to the context of the conversation today. Obviously premium is defined as the value that our consumers place on our brands and our properties. Premium, as it's defined by our media buying and media planning process, has always been defined based on site and placement, so homepage on Harvard Bazaar, for example. Premium is leaning more towards less about placement and position on the page and more around people and where they are in the content journey, which is where I think some of our conversation will go today.
By the way, is that a good place for it to go? I mean, one of the pressures, one of the things that RTB and insight platforms seem to represent is this move away from context towards audience. Is that a migration that's good for you as a representative of premium properties where the real estate really is supposed to matter?
I think we'll get into the pros and cons. I'm happy to talk about the pros and cons from a premium publisher standpoint, because I think there are pros and then there's a lot of, I don't call them cons, but unknowns, where it'll take us. But, I'll just give you one example when you talk about inventory management. How do you look at your inventory that is valuable, and how do you make it more valuable to the media buying community? So one of our properties is Cosmopolitan. They do a lot of relationship content. Nobody really wants to buy relationship content, but when we then look at the relationship between them going from relationship inventory over to beauty, you can then segment them into beauty consumer, and therefore they have greater value now. They get closer into a premium strategy. So things like that help us when you're trying to prove the value and the premium that
sure you know what Martini is. We are a network that just focuses on the 50 million Americans who make the most and the 50 million Europeans. Where they happen to go is work and play. So really for us, premium is, we have just 1,000 sites to reach these people, and we kick out more sites at the end of the year than we add in. So the only way we can ensure premium is, you need to have tablet inventory, you need to run ads that are single share voice, which is just like TV, just one ad on the page. What you need to be able to do is really run rich media that allows paid earned and owned with what these branded premium brands would like to see. So for us, typically we know it's premium when it sells out. So there's something about small sites, whether I think one of my investors is Reed Elsevier. There's nothing wrong with American Journal of Medicine or LexisNexis. They have just a small, infinite group of lawyers and doctors. And when you put a non-legal or non-medical ad in front of them, they do buy cars, they do engage in travel. If that ad is a wow ad, you're fighting for a slice of a doctor's life. He's used to usually seeing a pharma ad. If you can capture his attention, you can drive him from what we do mostly is brand advertising, from the top of the funnel. In many cases around the affluent, they spend money to save time. So if they get an offer or they get something exciting from Ritz-Carlton, they'll quickly see the ad, engage with it, and may actually purchase it. But what I do like, particularly what Hearst has done and Kristine's done her whole career, is brands where I sit tend to buy other brands. I just am very fortunate that I'll have these very niche brands and need to scale them. And I'm a computer scientist, so Martini was set up to really embrace the RTV exchange, but to embrace the differentiated aspects. And we'll talk about that later.
Mark, tell us quickly how you would define premium in your analysis, and why is it not just your definition of premium is certainly not just brand advertising, something else, right?
Right. We tend to look at, premium a year ago would have been a different definition. But what we've seen is there's sort of two buckets of premium. One is this sort of scarcity value that I think ultimately can be brought to RTV, however it would stay at sort of scarcity price. Then the other side of it is sort of that premium price that you would take for that top spot on Amazon that, maybe I don't need that one spot, maybe I can buy several at a much lower price and get the same or better economics. So that is another premium that has, is certainly seeing the sort of pricing or the contraction that RTV has brought to the marketplace. So I think eventually we're going to be viewing or calling premium what is sort of scarce out there. But to Kristine's point, the more a publisher can identify the value that a particular piece of inventory is worth, that obviously would fall under more of that scarcity bucket.
Would you guys respond to Mark's basic premise, which is that the RTV we agree to see, perhaps 80% of buying within the next year, is really putting downward pressure on premium, it's affecting the entire market. First of all, are you seeing that, and do you think it's better?
So I believe we do see it. One, when you have many of our publishers sometimes refer to RTV as a race to the bottom, particularly because you've seen the CPM sort of not rise. I think there was another rise of about 2%. However, thanks to really some good DMPs and some good DSPs and the exchanges, the click-through rates have risen almost a third. So we're getting pretty good at standard banners and buttons by using exchanges. I believe outside of the standard banners and buttons, I think this show and Ad Week has been a lot of themes around the new IAB Rising Star units, which, by the way, it's funny, it's the first new format, from my opinion, in almost 12, 19 years. So we're actually now seeing new formats that can take advantage of the media we have. I think, based on viewability and RTV, we'll probably see the market bifurcate. And the market has done it in the past, whether brand dollars are thought of different than DR dollars. And my example of that is if really 17% of the inventory on the exchange is below the fold, which is sometimes called remnant. Remnant isn't that naming for some types of inventory you may want it. But if brands really want visibility and really want engagement, it may be better to charge or to change the pricing to cost per engagement or others, just to further bifurcate the market. Because right now, today, our best performance is if there's just one ad, and it happens to be a rich media ad, on a very, very engaging page, it does better. When it does better, we just did some research with Digiday a couple months ago, the agencies and the clients will pay more for it. So we're just going to have to do a much better job at knowing how to tier our inventory, and there's probably no one better to do that than Hearst. And I think we'll just take the lead as a media network off.
Are you seeing pricing pressure coming from the flow of inventory and the RTB?
So we are testing in a lot of areas. We're testing in one ad on the page. We're testing for viewable impressions, which doesn't mean one ad on the page. So, we're testing a lot of things. But the conversation, from what I'll answer is, the idea of the real-time, the RTB space, and really going after avoiding the race to the bottom. So from our perspective, to answer the question you've asked, first of all, day one, we launched our audience exchange yesterday. We did a lot of research. I'll talk about why we're entering into that space. But, again, we have to test and learn and monitor. And I think that's really where we have to do our job. But here, from our perspective, why we launched an exchange. Number one, I don't think it's, I think where it removes pressure is, from a direct standpoint, is that now my direct team can focus on the sponsorship opportunities and can sort of focus on that direct kind of selling. Because right now, what we've been finding is that our agency and advertising partners are running the gamut. And what that told us is that they wanted flexibility. So the things that we're not going to be able to change, and I'm sure we've been looking at the same data year over year, 50% of dollars are going behind, brand, 50% of the dollars are going behind audience. And so the way we were looking at it is that our revenue portfolio pretty much tracked that way. 50% to brand/direct, 50% to other. Last time I checked, my boss didn't want me to be in the other business. So, we wanted to sit back and look at how do we do other differently. And we did decide that we were going to make a play at this, go into the exchange space. Now, let me just be clear about one thing. We are not launching our exchange to get rid of unsold inventory. It's not a remnant strategy for us. We're not highly dependent on remnant. But it's about taking in the principles of programmatic buying and hopefully pulling them into the way we are going to market and really making room for a new layer. So if there's direct and then there's brand and then there's remnant, which would be the bottom of other, we're trying to make room for the middle ground because we talked a lot with our clients and, it could be one client with two totally different campaign objectives. It could be brand awareness. It could be, just performance driven, immediacy. So we're trying to be more flexible in the way we are going to market with our clients. And flexibility means that we have to be willing then to play on that monetization, spectrum, the way we look at it.
And in a way, bifurcation is something you want. I mean, you said that having a very clearly divided market helps you because it allows one part of your sales team to do very specific and multiplied things.
And there's risk within that. It's really, again, it comes down to, I think we'll get in, I don't want to jump ahead, talking about how we're setting things up, as you had mentioned. But, it's test and learn. We'll have to monitor it, very, very closely.
But you're right. There's so many reach play networks. That's what we're not one. But typically, there's always just the inside scoop. A lot of them are called $5 and less networks, or we have cheaper inventory than Yahoo for reach plays. That inventory, it seems that the exchange, the standard banners and buttons, may be helped a lot by data. Because typically, if you have the bidding system, the more information that's in the bidded system, the more you'll know about that inventory, and therefore the price can rise. There's no one better. Hearst is here. They have a DMP in the company. They can buy, if they wanted to, on the district. They have a lot of inventory. But it's the first-party data that they know about their properties that is really valuable. And so not only do I believe data is sort of the difference maker in that $4 to $5 or premium at 7 to 8, it's a big change. But if you can highlight that in the exchange, we just had the Google guys presenting before that, then you're now bidding on two pieces of information. Because I'm a Yahoo person, I used to always get people giggling, going, "Hey, I bought Yahoo for 20 cents." And I'm like, "Well, let's look at what you bought." And they bought the 14th click in Yahoo email, or the 14th view of a piece of email. It's sometimes really hard to get the attention if you're on the 14th piece of Yahoo email. So the more description that's in the exchange, the better. And today the numbers, we've missed your study, but the numbers are the description in the exchange are going down. So it went from 32% of the basically inventory was described well to now it's a little under about 26%. So the inventory pricing and the name of it is more important than the description. And I think as there's more people bidding and the brand guys come on, they'll just want to know what it is and where it's at. And it will definitely help.
And I agree 100% with that. The one thing I might add, and it might be, Chris, I don't know if you were going this way, Kristine, but the risks, I guess, to the private exchange marketplace are you're opening yourselves to less of the market dynamics. So you have fewer buyers to some extent. So if we had perfect information, which we don't today, is the private marketplace the best venue to fully monetize your impressions?
I think where we're headed is, that's a statement on, just how do you bring in the programmatic efficiencies and leverage technology on that level. But it's the idea of pulling in data. That's what we're really focused on, because you mentioned scarcity and then you just mentioned differentiation. How do you differentiate your inventory in the marketplace? And so that is really what's core to our strategy is, and when I said it wasn't about getting rid of unsold inventory, what we are building in our exchange is the idea that we acquired for our audience, we've got our own DMP. How do we pull in that data and inform, either our segments or our strategies, regardless of where they are. So it's really more of a data-driven play for us in trying to pull in that information. I think we'll get into some of the details.
Skip, how do you get into the data? We know Hearst has the data. We know they've got a DMP that they can use to draw from it. How are you dealing with 1,000 different sites? How are you going to get that kind of data to make your exchange have that exceptional value?
So we were fortunate from the start. These are small sites, so for me to be 125 million uniques, and that takes me 1,000 sites. So these are sites that you couldn't find on Exchange because they're small, so you need to scale them. So what they believe, just like what Hearst believes, is the ticket to admission is you have to know about your own audience. So the first thing we do is pixel their sites. We too built the DMP of our own because we thought it would be more important to make sure we give that data back. So it could be really important for a medical site to ask the doctor, hey, can I grab some data so your subscription for your magazine will not go up? And I'd like to target you when you go off our medical journal. And for them, they have $300 CPMs on their site, so it's not like their CPMs are going to go up. But to find a doctor when he's not engaged in medical, but we just showed golf up here, so for me it'd be World Golf Tour during the basically Ryder Cup, because it's a game during the Ryder Cup. A million people played it over the last weekend. Not a great result of the real match, but of the game. But sure enough, those are unique opportunities and differentiating, but it's the data around those doctors and golfers is what brings brands to it. And so we've been fortunate the data goes right back to the publisher so they can see those insights and use it because they want the same technology that Hearst would have. They just happen to be, either inside a big company quite small or a very small site that needs the same capability.
How do both of you keep the exchanges from cannibalizing? Why wouldn't a buyer say, look, I can get your audience, I can get your audience from the exchanges. Okay, maybe the placement's not going to be as prime, but considering the differential in price, why would I want to make the extra step to go use the page and not just get the Hearst audience this way?
homepage, if you wanted to buy the homepage of Cosmopolitan, in theory, yes, you could at the highest level. Now, will that inventory be available? It's probably unlikely. But, he said, again, if there is any, let's just say that there is inventory available on the homepage of Cosmopolitan in December. We would, yes, put that in there because otherwise, where would it go? It might follow a lot of network strategies. So we can at least put it in there and then put a pricing floor in there. So we're still controlling it through pricing on the back end. Chances are that inventory is not going to be available. But yes, in theory, if it was, you could.
We've had the private exchange for a little more than 2 years, right? When Nexus was offering that to us, and it's really helped these 1,000 publishers. One, it's listed under Martini Media, and it's channelized rather than the same name of each of the publishers. We'd rather have all 1,000 publishers and all their inventory in. We're just trying to make sure that we're putting more data or more measurement in it. So many folks who buy this type of media are buying it for the brand lift or for the social, the word of mouth, because the affluent or the rich are actually influential as well. So it's the brand lift, word of mouth, or even cost per, as well as just a validated GRP. So we call it make measurement, make money. We'd like to put how those sites perform into the exchange, and therefore there's more information, and it may allow someone to bid up over time. But we've seen increases in our private exchange because there's just a selected group of trading desks and agencies that we work with who want to add weight to the branding campaign, and we're happy that they do so via the exchange. We just believe we have a lot more work to do in it to just make it more transparent and put more information in it so they can actually dig something up or understand that it's Cosmo front page. And matter of fact, it's not a bad way that all of our stuff was first sold out. We got prices that go up just based on scarcity. So there is a lot of art to it, not just science, how to manage your inventory and exchange.
I want to open it up. I have a few more questions for them, but if anyone has a question, please ask him. I wanted to go back. Let's go back to the data question, because one of the things that we actually heard yesterday is troubling questions about the quality of data. Now that modifiers have been in these systems for a while, they're becoming increasingly dissatisfied with the quality of the data that they're getting, its performance, its trustworthiness. How do you? So let's talk about the kinds of data that you're able to bring into the system that maybe they're not getting elsewhere, or the data that everybody seems to be now trading among one another. It seems that all these systems really buying and selling exact data, and then make that clear that this data is different, or demonstrate that this data is really adds value.
So I'll take that one first. So a couple of things that we're doing, and we do believe, and again, some of the indicators that we're seeing is that there's greater value that is being placed on first-party data for all the reasons why we probably talked about yesterday. I'm not here to debate the value around third party, whether it's performing, but there do seem to be some indicators that there is a premium value that is placed on first-party data. So that's one of the things that, at Hearst, as we know, when we think about what our core currencies are, it's content and audience. Audience defined as data and inventory. We might be in the advertising business, but that's not really our core currency. So one of the things that we try to start getting better about is our inventory, but then also data. So that's one of the reasons why we bought Core Audience, which is the DMP, formerly known as Red Arrow. And what they have been doing, obviously, is capturing all of our on-site data. And by the way, when I'm talking about data, I'm talking about the magazine group, the newspaper group, the entertainment group. The other thing that really matters in this proposition is to have scale. So that's the other reason why we said if we're going to go in and try to be an exchange, we felt like we needed the scale, which is why we didn't join other people's exchanges. We felt like if we could just get more organized within our own company, we felt like we had enough of an audience that could create scale. So there's the behavioral aspect of it. We're doing a lot more commerce, whether it's selling subscriptions or bartering. So there's more transaction data that we're capturing. We have all this registration data, so we're pulling all of this data into one central location, and then we're pulling it into the exchange and using it, in various ways. And by the way, we're not just using this data to get smarter about serving ads. We're getting smarter about how we're launching brands and how we're serving content. So we can get into some of those examples, but for us, data isn't just about doing smarter advertising. It's also how
I would say, I mentioned it earlier, if you're just using third-party data and then using your own inventory, it seems silly, right? I mean, you could use the exchange for third-party data in your own inventory. The reason there's such a debate around third-party data is it's mostly sample-based. And so by not being real-time data, it's sample-based. And sample-based data is usually not very accurate. So the first-party data doesn't have to be perfect. If you have more than a 90% chance that you know someone on a medical site really is a doctor, and they have visited an auto site and it's not an enthusiast site, but one that happens to be from a car OEM, you could say it's a doctor in market for autos. So that combination, I believe, are more called insights. And as second generation inventory put together with data will seem very elementary, but it will be very simple for brands, I believe, to use the exchanges to buy standard banners and buttons a little bit more intelligently. I believe some of the fun around the data is some of the social data we're now finding. Some of the companies that are using, they don't have a network, they don't have technology, that are making the DSPs perform are social graph targeting companies. And so I believe we're at step one of many, but these conversations are good, or even experimenting with the data. There's no one better to do that than the people who hold the content and are closest to the consumer. It used to be the easiest way before you got to get paid is you knew who the brand was. You would just go out and survey your users and say, hey, how interested are you in this brand? We did it from the day one we started the company. Our publishers gave us free inventory to survey them because we didn't want to come back and sell something to someone if it wasn't going to have an opportunity to work. So I don't believe we have to be, I think we will get better qualitative, get better quantitative, but back to registration data that Hearst has on their own users when they're truly engaged is a great data.
There's a whole other conversation that we don't have time for about who owns social data, considering that you've all got widgets from all the social networks that are scraping data from all of your sites and assembling wonderful profiles of all of your people that you're handing over to them. Once you start talking about social data, where this data is coming from, who it's going to, who owns it, is the next step. I want to end on one long ball question. Yesterday we had a very provocative prediction that RTV within the next 5 to 10 years will be close to 100% of online content. Mark, what do you think? You've got it going to 50 soon.
Yeah, I think there's no doubt it will eventually be 100%. Even in our industry, we have programmatic buying is sort of commonplace, but I think the road to get there will be a little choppy. But I think programmatic is a pretty standard form of buying, and I think what we're seeing today and talking about today here is the inefficiencies of a platform that's in its relative infancy. And I think there's going to be obviously lots more intelligence that's added and will make it more efficient and will make the platform more useful. And so I think 100% is
I believe you can't fight innovation. You can only basically join it and take the best of what it offers. I believe the analogy will be a little more similar to the TV upfronts, which you'll have your day-to-day buying of TV is programmatic, but if you really do want that must-see live events and other things, that you'll need to compete for those scarce. And so I don't believe it'll be 100%, but I do believe that we'll get much better as a digital industry, particularly for DR, in making sure that it is programmatic buying. And I think the brand dollars will go programmatic faster when we just need a really good rich media exchange. And I think we do more than 60% of our ads are IAB Rising Star units in rich media. That does require an exchange and will help, because we're a company with less than 50 people. We don't want 50 salespeople inside the company. We love the idea of adopting technology to help us sell really good inventory, and our publishers expect that.
So when we were modeling this out, what did you say? It was 10 years out. We are thinking that it could, at least for our business, become 50% of our business as we look further out, and we're aware of that. Again, differentiating between RTV and exchange. An exchange is essentially just setting up a model that provides for efficiency and scale building and leveraging technology, whether it's rich media or whatever it is. So that part of it is inevitable. I heard somebody speak on a panel, and since you were bringing up an analogy, and I thought it actually captured it pretty well. They likened it, when I was talking to them, I said, what do you think about this for publishers like us? And, we do need to embrace it. We need to figure out what to do with it, and that's what we're trying to make an effort behind. But they likened it to the banking industry, which I thought was interesting. When the banking industry was thinking, what do I do with ATMs, right? Versus, the tellers. And at some point, sometimes we, as consumers, you're going to want to go have customer service, you're going to need one-on-one, you're going to talk to the bank teller, and then on a different day, you just want automation, you just want quick service, you want in and out, you don't want to interact with any high touch, human touch. But at the end of the day, you want to make sure that wherever your money is, it's in a protected environment. And I thought that was a pretty good summary. You definitely want automation, and you want, again, high touch, but you just want to know your brand is in a safe environment.
Guys, thank you very much. Thanks.
We're going to move to a live topic. Interesting, since we talked a great deal about premium, we're going to be talking about native ad formats now. The rallying cry of late among digital advertisers is to stop interrupting, stop crafting marketing and start crafting marketing that actually conforms. And that's not only relevant, but actually conforms to what people are doing online. Facebook sponsored stories, obviously one of these. Twitter and StumbleUpon's promoted posts. And even now, new kinds of branded content and integrated programs are taking on this mantle of the native ad format. It's one of the hot topics, one of the things that everybody has been wanting to talk about lately. But of course, they raise key questions, maybe some obvious questions, but ones that still need to be dealt with. Certainly, scale. Whether native ad formats really perform at a level and at a scale that make them worth pursuing. And also whether they're effective and how they prove out. The metrics around native ad formats really compare to the metrics that media buyers are used to using. To go into this issue, we have with us someone who knows native ad formats, knows social media very well. Andrea Wallnitz, who's the U.S. Director of Social Media at PhD. She works with the company's top clients on strategies that include social media outreach and user-generated media projects. Interestingly, Andrea, I hope I have this part of your biography right. I hope I did my research. She trained at the Culinary Arts Institute for Culinary Education and has done social media for Tongues, which I think is great. Please welcome Andrea Wallnitz.
Thanks everyone for joining me. We've got a panel of some really impressive folks up here, so I'm going to let them introduce themselves. Joe, do you want to start?
Sure. Joe Friedel, Federated Media. I run marketing over there.
I'm Keller Irvine. I'm the CEO of Vibrant Media.
Dan Greenberg, founder CEO of Share Through. Mark Westlake, Chief Revenue Officer, Tech Media.
Teal Newland, Head of Sales and Advertising Strategy for StumbleUpon.
Great. So I'm going to ask it first. I'm sure everyone in this room has either heard this or asked it. Can you give me something brand new, with scale, and can you do it for $50,000 or less? So my question to you guys is, scalability. How hard has it been to create scale when everything requires discrete creative? Teal, you want to start?
Sure, I think it can be hard when everything requires discrete creative. And so I joined StumbleUpon from Digitas, where I worked on American Express, Delta Airlines, Kraft, Intel, and custom native brand content can be difficult to scale because everything does require a new initiative. And I think that's one of the challenges that we face as service providers and certainly as a media entity, in that how do we create native solutions that are scalable? That can be invested in mass quantity, that still can be truly unique for the brand. And for someone like StumbleUpon, our scale has been that our ad platform, our creative, doesn't require distinctive and unique creative. That we integrate existing assets from the brand directly into our discovery engine.
Yeah, I would jump in and say that I think the question of does native scale is kind of a red herring. I think it's an easy question to ask.